Greg Klote here from Halvorsen Klote Davis. An insurance adjuster says that your injury couldn't be from the crash. A biomechanics expert says otherwise. Here's how that fight is won. A biomechanics expert is typically a scientist or expert with a PhD in either biomechanics or biomedical sciences. And what they do is they look at the crash and they see if those forces from the crash could have caused your injury. And they look specifically at forces between the two vehicles, how the vehicles ended up, and they translate it back to, could those forces cause the plaintiff's injury? Why do experts like this matter? It matters because in many cases, there's an accident and there may not be a ton of damage from the outside. It may have a bent frame underneath the vehicle you can't see. The bumper looks pushed in, but you don't know how much. What insurance companies like to do is say, there's no way this injury could have been caused by this accident. There's minimal damage or just the bumper's pushed in. The car's not totaled. And what a biomechanical expert can do is they can say how much force was actually applied to the vehicle. They can tell you if the vehicle itself was actually pushed forward more, if the forces were received through people's bodies more, and they can look at this by looking at the data from the vehicles. They can look at the weight of the vehicles. They can look at the damage done. They can look at if there was skid marks and how far the car moved forward. That's what a biomechanical expert does, and they can help fight back against the insurance company. Now, when the insurance company makes this argument, what do? We bring a biomechanical expert, and typically what they do is they're going to pull data from the vehicle. Every vehicle now, all these newer ones, trucks, have what's called event data recorders. So they are like black boxes of airplanes, and they record all the data, the speed, the braking, the rotation, the angles, and they're able to pull this information along with pictures and measurements, put this into their system and calculations, and determine how much force, G-force, was applied in the accident, and whether someone sitting in the vehicle with a seatbelt that tightened and rotating at a certain degree and with a certain amount of force applied could have injured themselves as a result of that accident. These experts are able to explain to insurance adjusters and juries very easily what happens to the force whenever you're involved in an automobile accident. Bumpers are designed to help alleviate the force, but the force still has to travel somewhere. And so, these experts will have reports and models, and they're able to explain exactly how the accident occurred, what type of force went through the vehicle to show if an injury could have occurred or not. Now, not every case you need a biomechanical expert, okay? If the car is totaled, you may not need one. If it's a case where, injuries are clear, there's broken bones, there's traumatic brain injury, it may not be something that you need. Typically, they cost anywhere between $3,000 and $10,000 depending on the case and how much you have them do. But a big thing is finding an attorney that knows when to use these and when not to use these. You don't want them racking up expenses, but you also want them to add value to maximize your claim. A few of the biggest reasons why you would want a biomechanical expert is one, if there's significant injury but minimal damage, you want to see could that accident have caused that injury. Two would be if there's a argument about pre-existing injury. Someone had back pain 5-10 years prior. They haven't had anything since. After the accident, they're having significant back pain. Insurance companies will say, oh, look, they had prior back issues. That's what it is. And what an expert can do is say, could this force or could this accident have re-aggravated a prior injury and caused a new injury, basically. The last one is if you're going to trial. Typically, juries really appreciate someone to explain exactly what happened in the accident, how fast people were going, what the forces were. And this helps really out at trials and with juries that don't have the experience that attorneys or these scientists have. Now, while these experts aren't cheap if needed, the nice thing is if you hire a law firm or attorney, they can front these costs for you so you don't have to come out of pocket. Or, if it's a case where you really need it and you can't afford it, you're able to have that opportunity. Like I said, not every case needs it, but when you do, you want to be able to have it. So if you're getting the argument from the adjuster that the damage doesn't look that bad, there's no way you could have suffered injuries, give us a call. We can take a look and see if it's a case worth bringing on a biomechanical expert or some expert to describe the events that happened, the forces, everything that transpired to see if those injuries are related. Remember, accidents can happen. We can help. Halvorsen Klote Davis.